Hello and a very warm welcome back to the garden. Today's video is sharing 9 edible crops that you never need to buy seeds for again, either because they self-sow everywhere or the saving of seeds in their tubers are super simple. The first two I'm going to share are herbs. I'm going to start off with coriander. Right in front of me here is confetti coriander that is self-sown. So behind me I had this, what I call an island block. We have a block of herbs and edible flowers to create a nice pollinator friendly but edible space in the garden. That was last year, let it run to seed, and now I've got I just got this carpet of herbs coming up. You know, borage is another one, I'll just throw that in, that's coming up as well. But coriander, one of the easiest things you can do is just let it grow, let it seed, do nothing, let it die down normally, and every year you're going to get a massive crop coming up, and it's that simple. The second crop is dill, and when it comes to herbs and edible flowers, I don't actually plan for where I'm going to plant them in the garden. Usually it's in the corner of beds, and then that's where they're going to share their seeds. And I've got a load of dill coming up here in between the shallots and carrots, which I can either gently lift up and transplant somewhere else, or I could let them grow. And I'll show you another example of this in the polycrop. So in the polycrop, we had some dill just growing at the top, and now somehow it's managed to spread itself all over the place. We've just cleared a massive one to make space for tomatoes. Nothing was planted or sown here. This just came up, and you can see how effective it is at spreading itself far and wide. I'm going to throw in some other bonus crops into this video because so many things do self-seed and spread like crazy. For example, these nasturtiums, none of these were planted. These have just grown from what has fallen, all of their seeds that have fallen into the soil. And again, you can either save the seeds or wait for next year and pot on any that are growing. The next edible crop is tomatoes. Now, tomatoes self-pollinate, and it's really unlikely for them to cross-pollinate in a setting like this unless there's quite an adventurous bee. So what you can do is grow blocks of tomatoes, and actually the easiest way to do it is to let those tomatoes fall on the ground and don't pick them up. And what you're going to get next year is tomatoes sprouting in all those different areas. So one of the places we've got where there were cherry tomatoes, we've got a forest of mini tomato seedlings coming up. There's another tomato seedling coming up here, and this is where the cucumbers were. So again, it's another crop that will, if you're not careful, pop up everywhere. Now, if you'd like to label everything and know for sure what is growing, but you have all of these volunteer tomato plants coming up, what you could do is pot them on and give them away as a lucky dip tomato and let people experience the joy of not knowing what they're going to grow until it starts fruiting. The next edible crop is a flower. It's calendula, and that's another one that will just self-seed everywhere, especially if you stop deadheading it towards the end of summer, early autumn, and just let it live out the next month or two and clear the plants. You will always get loads coming back. In fact, a few beds behind me, I've planted a whole row of calendula using seedlings that have self-sown and popped up. The next crop is peas. This is something that you don't actually allow to self-seed and drop on the ground because rodents and birds love peas. However, they are, in my opinion, the easiest vegetable crop to save seed from. For example, these here are Llanover peas, a Welsh pea variety that I have saved seeds from. This is 2019 seed, and I'm still getting this kind of results. So peas rarely cross-pollinate. So if you really enjoy a certain variety or you've got a really rare pea variety, save those seeds and carry on growing them for forever. Another legume that you can easily save seeds from are runner beans. All you want to do is let the pods turn brown on the plant and then take the beans out and dry them on a windowsill for a couple of weeks, and then you got your seeds to plant. And there are many stories that I continuously hear of people growing runner beans from the exact same seed stock that their grandfather used to grow. And I just think that that's such a lovely story, and it's something that you could start up. And also right in front of me here is a lot of dill plants starting to also self-sow and grow. So the next example is Trussum artichokes, also known as sunchokes, and we're here in our new mainly experimental growing site. It was just a field around 3 months ago, and all of these Trussum artichokes have come from spare tubers from the main garden. We grow them in the shadiest part of the garden, just a small strip at the end of a raised bed, but these are all of the spare tubers that come from that. And we've been growing from the same initial batch of tubers, just duplicating and replicating for over 15 years. We haven't had to buy any tubers since. This is ultimate free food forever. And literally all you do as you're harvesting your Trussum artichokes is just leave one tuber in the same place a plant was, and it will continue growing every single year. Following on from Trussum artichokes are ocker, also known as New Zealand yam. These, they're like potatoes, which is another one as well. If you forget to harvest some of them, they're always going to grow back. And this is evidence of them. I've got a few plants that are growing. Ocker is actually really easy to save over winter. They rarely rot, provided that you keep them in a dry, dark, cool place, and then you can keep on sowing them. So all of the ocker that we grow here in this garden comes from a single batch of tubers that we got around 5 or 6 years ago, and you can see an old video on my channel about that. Now another crop here isn't strictly seeds, but it is cloves, and it is how you start the plant, and that is garlic. It's one of my absolute favourites, and it is really easy to grow using your own seed stock or your own cloves. All you need to do is harvest it, usually that's in July. You cure the bulbs, you don't need to store them really properly, because come October that same year, you then plant them again, and then you repeat that pattern every single year, and that means you can be self-sufficient with your garlic. Now we're just looking at garlic, and if you're feeling a little bit impatient and you're missing your own garlic, there's actually a way that you can harvest it this month, and this video will show you exactly that harvest and some fun ideas to enjoy it in the kitchen as well. I promise you, every gardener needs to know about this.